Hello, Steve. Hello, Jill. It's time to game classy.
I'm sorry, I got bagel stuck in my teeth. I was eating bagels when you texted me.
Bagel.
Yeah, it was a bagel with some salmon and cream cheese. No capers though. I love capers, but we didn't have any.
Oh, salmon and cream cheese. Okay, I had a little like brain fart delay for a second because I was like, why the fuck is he eating capers with bagels?
Yeah, it's a fairly standard thing to have.
No. Totally makes more sense if you don't omit the lox and cream. The lox part. The lox part is the part that my brain deleted for a second there, and I was like, what the fuck is he on?
You could put capers in many things. You could put it in a nice sandwich. They're just little pickles.
Yeah, I mean, it's just that would be. I would say, I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad. I would just say that it is unusual to have a bagel with capers on it, like just capers on a bagel.
Anti-capite. That's what you are. You're anti-capite.
I am not an anti-capite. I many of my best friends are capers.
I wish criminals still use the word capers.
Yes, that's just true. They should more criminals should use the word caper. Like, maybe we can be the change we want to see in the world and just
be the change.
Yeah, and because like we had, we refer to the Gen Con. The Gen Con boys with the fake names, we refer to that as a heist already.
That's a heist. That's different than a caper. Well, I guess caper can be a heist.
That's true. Oh, you know what? Is this one of those things where not all heists are capers, but all caper or
no, opposite.
Opposite.
Yes.
Not all capers are heists.
Not all capers are heists, but all heists are capers.
Are capers. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking myself.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
Yes. Fuck. Not even
phenomenal value.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking about capers. I love capers. If I ever opened up a bagel shop in Chicago, it would be called Capers Delay. It's a local joke, people. It's a local joke. So if you're like, what is Capers Delay?
That's funny.
Should I explain it? And that what we call it when a car breaks down on the side of the road in Chicago, and the slowdown of traffic is called Gapers Delay because you're gaping at it.
Yeah, when I think of a Gapers Delay, I think of something completely different. To be honest with you,
it's true. You do think it's something complete. You know what? In 2024, I don't think I could open up a restaurant called Gapers.
I mean, you might as well call it the Goon Zone.
You know what though? I think Goon Zone would be more appropriate. I think more people do not associate gooning because it's a relatively newer term, very, very internet niche, as opposed to gaper, which I think has been around since early Penthouse days, or Hustler, not really. Well, I guess Penthouse.
Interesting note, not interesting note, but something that annoys me just personally, very specifically to myself is, I used to love the term goon bag because I thought it was hysterically funny. And a goon bag is so boxed wines. In the inside of the wine, there's a bag, and the wine is bagged in there. So that's referred to as a goon bag because you take it out of the box and you drink straight from the bag. So you'd be like, oh man, that guy's got his goon bag, and like it was never really was a ubiquitous use. So, but now I can't use it anymore because whenever I say goon bag, people do not think I'm talking about a goon bag.
Yeah, exactly. I always thought just a goon bag was basically any sort of like a liquid can, like a cloth style canteen, like bag style canteen.
It's specifically used to refer to as to wine bags, but I would imagine. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know about that from going to like Grateful Dead shows. And
it doesn't have to be wine, I guess. It's just that is what a goon bag is. It's the bag inside of a box of wine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's like a baggy canteen. It's like a not cloth, but it's definitely a canteen bag. I don't know. It doesn't matter in this long term because we can't use it because now weird internet fetishists have taken over the term gooning and goon.
It's all ruined.
It's ruined, sir. This is what our listeners tune in for. these hot takes after taking a week off. They're like, man, they're gonna have so much to talk about. No, we're not.
Yes.
I do have stuff to talk about though. I have complaints. I have interesting Games Workshop rumors. Production rumors, not just like, oh, this is coming out. Like, no, there's shit going down over in the studios.
I'm ready. I don't know.
You want to talk about that first, or you want me to give a review? What are you looking for?
I mean, you do you.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about the thing that I was going to talk about last week for sure, or last podcast for sure, and that was I finished off End in the Dead Part 3, so that's the Horus Heresy's done. The Horus Heresy's done. The last book, read through it. It was kind of a piece of shit.
All right.
In keeping with the tradition of most of the Horus Heresy books, it was kind of a piece of shit.
Great.
I love Dan Abnett. I love bad.
You love Bolter, Freem, Dan Abnett.
But my God, how Black Library operates without having a real editor, a real book editor looking at the fiction and saying, you can't have this. This doesn't make any sense. I don't understand how you got from here to here. It really is a detriment to those fucking books. If they needed someone to help them with plotting, my God. I will take that job too. I would take it 100% and just sit there and go, Dan, you can't do this. You can't have 3 books where you just sit on your ass for 2/3 of them. You have to keep the plot moving. You don't go back to this plot line. This plot line is useless. It's stupid. No one cares about this. Go away from it. So here you go, Steve. Here's a perfect example. So the last 2 or 3 books of the Horus Heresy series have been about the Siege of Terror or whatever. It has the Emperor ascending to chaos godhood, right, in order to defeat Horus. He figures the only way he could defeat Horus is to become a god himself. But the thing is that's part of the Chaos God's play. They want him to be the 5th Chaos God.
Right.
Right? So they're like, yes, good. And then you know what happens, Steve? Someone talks to the Emperor and says, you really shouldn't do this. And he's like, okay. And then he does it. That's what happens in the book, Steve.
Hey, that's Does someone say gulp? He's right behind me, isn't he?
Pretty much. This guy goes, no, you have to be better than this.
As an aside, I'm just glad that everyone's kind of collectively turned on Marvel movie writing.
Yes, I agree with you. It's the Guardians of the Galaxy problem. It was Guardians of the Galaxy was too good in what it did. So it was we all have to act like this.
Yes, yeah, that makes sense.
That was the point in which the big turn happened was Guardians of the Galaxy, in case anybody was wondering. James Gunn made so much money off a movie they thought was not going to do well that they were like, okay, we're going to undercut every point of tension with a joke. And that's not what happens in the Horus Heresy books. No, they just are like, okay, well, there are literally points, Steve, where I'm like, how did this happen? How did this person get from point A to point B? And I'm sitting there reading and listening to the books at the same time. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, God, and it's
not know.
And there are so many plot points where people are just like, it's the guy, the Star Wars guy. What's his name? The guy who does all the Star Wars cartoons, who loves
Gendy Tartakovsky.
No, not him. No one. He hasn't done a Star Wars cartoon since 2002. Steve.
There's other Star Wars cartoons.
Yes.
Oh.
All the stuff on all the Rebels and.
Oh yeah, I don't watch the CGI stuff.
Yes. Whatever his name is, I can't think of it off the top. He's kind of a guy who wears a cowboy hat all the time, like Robert Rodriguez. But he loves his characters so much that he will shove his characters into literally everything. He's like the ultimate, well, I'm bringing my toys to the sandbox and I don't care about anyone else's toys. Like, hey, oh man, you really like Luke Skywalker, right? Yeah, I love Luke Skywalker. And we love Darth Vader, right? Yeah, I love Darth Vader. Well, guess what? We're going to watch this movie about my character that I made up. And you don't get to see anything with the characters you like. Oh, okay.
Take that, idiot.
Take that, stupid Star Wars fans. your Star Wars, and then people are so brainwashed in liking Star Wars. They're like, yes, I need more stuff with Ahsoka Tano. She's awesome because she's a neutral like Force user. She's not light side or dark side. Well, if you could do that, how come Anakin didn't go neutral instead and just leave the Jedi Council like Ahsoka did? Because, like, did he even know that was an option that he could do and go live with Padme? Oh, he didn't? Oh, that's right, because you made this shit up on the fly and didn't really think about the ramifications for the larger part of the story, right? Oh, I see it. But no, all of the fucking Star Wars dweebs have to be jerking off over the fact that they have a neutral character. Steve, why the fuck do people always have to have, like, a neutral side? Everything. Light side, dark side. It's specifically a flip, two sides of the same coin, right? There's no, like... when the coin lands, it doesn't land on its side, Steve. You always have to have one or two sides.
It's because people want to stroke off about how smart they are and how centrist they are.
That's goddamn right it is.
That's literally it. It's literally just they want to be the world's most boring centrist and feel good about it.
Yeah. No, you are absolutely correct. It's like the goddamn what's it called? What's with 40K? Like, why can't there be an option that's in between the Imperium and Chaos? It's like, because that's not a game. That's like you're like, well, I can't make a commitment to a good side or a bad side. I just want to be neutral. Like, how boring are these people when they're playing Mass Effect, Steve? How boring are these people when they have to make any choices in any game?
Oh man, that's probably pretty bad.
Because don't think like, here's my thing. I understand the neutral center point of like, well, this side is obviously crazy and that side is obviously crazy. I wouldn't want anything to do with it. But you're thrown into a fictional world where you gotta kind of pick a side.
Yeah.
And even in fiction, these people don't want to pick a goddamn side. So they go to Ahsoka Tano, who's like, I'm just going to quit the Jedi Council. And there's Anakin, who sit there and murdered his wife because of the Jedi. He thought the Jedi Council wouldn't allow them to get married. And this is what you get? This is what you get?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Although, you know what? One of my favorite things with Star Wars right now is the humorous edits where it's like it's got like Sam Jackson and he's like, Anakin, he's too dangerous to be kept alive, and it just goes, Anakin's like, yes, you're right, and it just goes, it just says directed by George Lucas. Yeah, I like that. That makes me laugh. I'm a big fan of that.
But that's exactly it. It's just like, you have to have this because it's a story.
Right. Yeah. You don't need to inject your boring centrism, your boring, you're the smartest person in the world centrism into everything. I know you're boring and it's your life, but come on, calm down.
Yeah. Like, this is designed as an escape. There's a reason why people like playing Chaos, because they like being evil.
Right. Exactly. They want to be the bad guy.
Yeah. And there's, well, and that's part of the problem too with the Imperium, is they're also the bad guys, but
right.
Different point of view.
It's like yes, but the whole thing is like, it's fucking toys. Don't think about it so hard.
I know. Well, it's mostly Perturabo fans, Iron Warriors players. They're like, we're not Chaos or Imperium. No, you're Chaos. No, we're not. Yes, you are. You're big babies.
I mean, headcanon wise, a bunch of devout Chaos worshippers who've convinced themselves that they're centrists is kind of funny.
Yes, exactly. Well, and that's kind of what Republicans are in a lot of sense.
I could see it.
Yeah. Well, and Democrats too, actually. Now that I'm saying it out loud.
I'd say anyone who's firmly entrenched in one of the parties. We'll just give it that.
Yeah, there you go. And not just like me, who's just like, I just don't want to work this much. And I'm a civil servant. I really don't work that much in comparison to a lot of people.
Hey, all I ever reply to everyone is like, hey, which president did you get rich under? That's always what I say when people get all fucking pressed about voting. I'm like, yeah, which one made you rich?
None of them, Steve. None of them.
Damn, almost like they don't fucking matter.
Yes, there you go. There you go.
It's a flim flam.
Yeah.
Shocker.
So going back to my original point with the End of the Death Part 3, the book series didn't need to be 3 books. You could probably have split it into 2 books. Abnett was trying to tie up some loose ends for his own characters that no one wanted to play with because they're fucking terrible. So he was like, oh no, I got to have an ending for Alanius Pius. And you know what, Steve? You know what? Okay, so you go back to when we were working for GW back in 03, 04-ish, right? And you have the characters, and you know the story of the Emperor is the Emperor and fought Horus after Horus killed Sanguinius, and one lone guardsman came up and threw himself between Horus and the Emperor, even though he knew that he wouldn't survive. Blah blah blah. So they do it, but you know what they make the character? They make this character an immortal who used to work with the Emperor long ago and was the first person to ever say no to the Emperor, but yet he still comes up, and it's like it was kind of cooler when it was just like a random dude, right?
Yeah, it was way better when it was just like some guy. Like it defeats the entire purpose of the story to make.
There
it,
you
like,
go, and
someone
that's
who's-
part of the problem with that.
Yeah. No, I mean that's like it's exceptionalism. Everyone has to be a fucking superhero.
Yeah.
It can't just be a regular guy because that's not cool.
Yeah, and like everything is told from Horus's point of view, right? And now here's where I'm getting real nitpicky on a lot of things. Do you know how many books have had Horus's point of view before like the end part of the Horus heresy?
I'm not gonna lie, Joe. I have read 3 40K books in my entire life. Literally 3. Even audiobook wise, just grand total 3 40K. I don't think the lore is that good. I think it's very overrated. I would rather hear about wizards than fucking Space Marines for 80 books.
Wizards?
Yeah, so there you go. There's my confessional. Even when I was playing 40K actively, I didn't think the lore was very good.
Well, anyway, they had very few. So when you have the entire end sequence of the end of the death through Horus's point of view, you're like, I have nothing to compare this against because I didn't know about him before he went down to chaos. So this is fun, right? Yeah. Okay. Oh, it's just really poor planning. Oh, and then he keeps bringing back shit that no one cares about. But anyway, that's besides the point. There was a really cool scene though there was a couple cool scenes that I really did enjoy in the last book, but overall I kind of feel like it was a major letdown just because they went too far into like these weird side stories that no one really cared about. I care about the Horus Heresy because of Marines shooting each other with bolters, right? Cool Marine characters. I do not care about humans. Every time a human character shows up in those books, I'm like, this is instant death to my bolter porn boner.
I'll say my 40K boner has been
30K.
destroyed.
30K.
Oh, 30K. My bad.
Yes. But anyway, on that end, that was my review on that. So I'm a big negative Nancy. And I think part of it is I discovered a brand new sci-fi book series that I kind of really like. It's, I don't remember if I talked about it on the cast yet. Let's see, Sun Killer. It's like I think it's the Sun Killer Chronicles or something. I have it on my phone. Give me just a second. I gotta look this up because I don't want to give the wrong answer.
We gotta kill the sun.
Pretty much.
I'm ready for the Sun Chronicle.
It's called the Sun Eater. The Sun Eater.
Very good. That's Kolek Sun Eater. He's from Warhammer Fantasy Battles.
Yes, but this is Empire of Silence. It's by Christopher Ruocchio. It's kind of a
chill.
So there's good things and bad things with it. It's a really cool sci-fi fantasy space opera. More sci-fi than fantasy, but there's a lot of fun fantasy elements to it. It's got a little bit of Lovecraftian vibe to it.
All right.
A lot of space fights and aliens and fun stuff like that. I really kind of enjoy it, and it's kind of like, oh shit, this is what good sci-fi is. I always forget about this when I'm reading 40K. Yeah. So that's a recommendation. I do, and the audiobook is actually pretty fun to read. My only problem with it is that the main character, at least in the first book, is very not Mary Sue. That's not the right word, but he is kind of a Mary Sue. But he's just like that I'm a young dude who's born into power, but I gotta kind of become a man through losing everything that I have.
Be a man.
Decisions. Yeah, because the character is really, really it's very similar to what's it called? Shit. Not Dune. Do you remember do you read Patrick Rothfuss?
No.
Okay. It's like King Killer. I think it's the King Killer. So it might be.
Oh, King Killer Chronicles. I've heard of that. I haven't read it though.
Yeah, that character I can't stand, and Patrick Rothfuss is funny because he's like totally duped everyone into thinking that he's writing more books, but he's definitely not doing that. He's like George R.R. Martin, where it's like we're the kings of we're gonna have a fantasy series that's super popular that we're never gonna finish.
Yeah, well, I mean that's I think George R.R. Martin got basically broke himself when he wrote that one book that was so big he had to split it into 2 books, and he was just like, I'm done.
I'm done.
Yeah,
I've made so much money through television. I never need to write again. Is basically what that became.
Yeah, no, that seems about right.
Yeah, and at this point, I think he should just like put out just like whatever random shit, like some. He should just do what he should do is
he should do a 1-page synopsis of the ending and just copy paste that 200 times and have a 200-page book launch. That's just the same thing over and over.
No, what George R.R. Martin needs to do is someone needs to mail him a 3-pound bag of cocaine. Right,
Ooh.
3 pounds of cocaine. That's enough to kill him. That's going to kill him, but he has to do it all, and then he will finish the entire writing the entire series, then die.
I see. Can he stream it on Twitch?
Maybe. It's called the Stephen King method. It's just you do a ton of cocaine and crank out like 10 books that you don't remember writing. Now, Stephen King did that in his 20s when your heart can handle that much cocaine.
Yeah, important distinction, of course.
Yeah, which is a very, very important distinction.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you're capable of withstanding the amount of cocaine you're subjecting your body to.
Yes. Well, it's like I'm 43 years old, Steve. I should never ever do cocaine.
Yeah, it would probably be bad.
Yeah, it'd be very bad.
It probably would be bad. I'm gonna throw it out there. It's probably not good.
There's plenty of other drugs I can do at this time. I'm gonna stay away from the cocaine, from the booger sugar.
Yeah. Just maybe one that doesn't make your aged heart explode.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on. Let's talk about. I want to get to the old world. So there's some really funny shit going on with the old world right now. To recap, Old World got launched. It was like everything Games Workshop did for the launch was super good. But however, there's some cracks in the facade. Right now,
in the facade.
Right now, it's nearly impossible to find a lot of the initial launch stuff for the Old World, and a lot of the stuff that people are wanting to play the game are also nearly impossible to get.
Yes.
The initial launches from the website, stuff sells out almost immediately, especially the recast stuff. Not recast, but you know what I'm talking about, the re-release stuff.
Yes.
Some of the plastics are sticking around. Like, I know that you go to a couple stores, they have some Tomb King stuff still. They have some Bretonian stuff still. Most of the GW stores do not have anything. I know the army boxes are almost gone. Some places still have the army boxes, but I think a lot of places, what they're doing is they're buying up the army boxes, breaking them down, selling them on eBay for a profit, which kind of sucks if you ask me. Not just kind of, really sucks.
Yes.
So why is all of this happening? I think part of it is we're hearing that Games Workshop wasn't originally going to be in charge of the launch. It was going to be Forge World. Some people are wondering what the difference between Forge World and Games Workshop is. I know I've talked to people about this, but Forge World is a separate division of Games Workshop. They kind of just have more freedom to do whatever they want. And Games Workshop will occasionally do, hey, do you guys want to do this? And they'll be like, yeah, sure. Or they might approach Games Workshop and say, we want to do this. And Games Workshop be like, okay, no one cares about that. And then something becomes super popular and Games Workshop takes over. So it looks like the Old World was originally going to be like that with Forge World. They were like, they had spent all of that time. So like when they did the initial announcement on the Old World, that was like 4 years ago, right, Steve?
It was like 4 or 5 years ago, actually.
Yeah, it was pre-COVID.
Yeah, a long time ago.
And the reason why it took that long was they had put research into every faction, building rules for them. Like they did a fantastic, if you actually go through all of the rules for the game, for every army, they are very well balanced. Now, does that mean that someone can break a hole in that? Yeah. But is it fun if you just play a normal game like a normal human being and not a sweat lord? Oh, it's fantastic.
Yes.
If you want to sweat lord it, yeah, go ahead, have fun. No one's gonna play you.
Yeah, it's not great, but it is. I will say that because of the way they design the armies, I do think it's going to be hard to like actually just straight up break shit, because they did very specifically limit. All the army books are basically variants of what exists in the Ravening Hordes books.
Yeah.
So that's good, because that really limits the power, because you can't suddenly be like, yeah, here's all this new shit that's totally broken, brand new army, everything, get fucked, and it's like, oh, like that likely will not happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's like they basically have to, they really really have to intentionally break it for that to happen.
The 10-man long line of units is happening again, Steve.
That's so stupid.
Where you bring like a 20-man unit,
yeah,
two 10-man ranks,
it's a choo-choo train. Yeah,
no, not a choo-choo train. This is wide.
10 wide is fine. 10 long is what's bad.
That's a little bit too. But the 10 no, I don't think the 10 wide is fun.
I use 10 wide all the time. That's the classic Archer setup.
Well, Archer setup, yes, but now it's because that everybody in the front rank can fight. If you have a one hand, you get to throw one attack in. So if you have a one attack figure, you want to do a 10-man wide, because now all 10-man can attack instead of just 5 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
I get the concept behind it, but that's just not fun.
No, I don't think it's that bad. I think that's a lot of points investment to get extra rank, like, because you're buying 5 more models worth of attacks, but also that is a lot of
frontage.
Yeah, it's a lot of frontage. That's a lot of points to spend on to get ranks, and of course that becomes like the most brutal flank ever. I don't think it's that bad. I think that's something that, like, after the initial shock of that wears off, I think it's going to be a very, like, it'll likely just end up being a part of the game rather than like, oh, this is busted. I wouldn't be too concerned about that. That's not something like E-Formation Bowman, where literally like it's so bad it like actually just gets banned by the community.
Yeah, and so what we're hearing from what the rumor that's coming out is this came out because people were saying, like, dude, we love the old world, but what about Kislev and Cathay? You had teased them for a very long time that they were going to be part of the old world. I mean,
yeah, they were showing shit off.
And the fun thing is that Games Workshop was like, no, we don't have any, plans for them right now. But they were like, what's going on? And so I guess some people dug deeper. And turns out that basically Games Workshop, the parent company, saw the stuff that Forge World was doing, and we're like, hey, this is great. The community is going apeshit over all of this. We're going to take it from you, and we're just going to do all of the release ourselves. Now, Forge World was super pissed about this because they put in a shit ton of work, and you could see that work in the rule set.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's an amazing rule set.
It's very good.
And so that's going on there, and Games Workshop itself wasn't prepared to make this like a major game in their release schedule. So no, entire divisions of Games Workshop are yelling at each other constantly. No one is speaking to each other about it, and no one really knows who's in charge of it. So there's that going on.
Yeah, that's happening.
Definitely happening. We don't know that for sure. This is all rumor.
Yes, true. I guess, yeah, we should be clear. This is speculation.
And then you talk to anybody at your local gaming store, they can't get anything in for the old world. So Games Workshop's not even making enough to meet the demand of what people are asking for. Now, I think that's part of the problem, and that's always been the problem with a lot of fantasies, like non-core units. Like look at the Bretonians in general. You know how hard it is to find questing knights, grail knights, anything that is not plastic core for Bretonians. It's almost impossible. And that's kind of even the way it was post 6th edition as well. A lot of that shit was hard to find, but that was hard to find because no one was buying it, so they just didn't make a ton of it.
True.
Because no one played Bretonians.
But I was going to start my Bretonian army.
Yeah. but I was gonna start X Army. I was gonna start the Tomb King.
No, Bretonnians are definitely the Bretonnians are the kings of that. No question. The Bretonnians is absolutely the number one Warhammer Fantasy Battle. I'm gonna do that army. Like I 100% stand by that statement.
I'm gonna do it, Steve. I'm gonna do a Bretonian army.
Yeah, that's the statement. That's the one.
No, literally, Steve. I have them in front of me right now. I have like 4 painted, five painted right now.
Yeah. Talk is cheap. Show me
Oh
the
my God.
knights.
So I finished up my Warlord Titan. You could see it on my Instagram account at GameClassJoe. So I was like, I'm gonna start up on painting a new army for Old World. I'm gonna do these Bretonians that I've had for a long time. So I had bought a Bretonian army off someone probably around like 2013, 2014 after Fantasy had dumped, right, and became AOS. And I got it fairly cheap. It's a beautiful full army. I got 10 Grail Knights, 10 Questing Knights. I got a ton of squires, mounted squires on foot. I got a lot of shit. So it's like, oh, perfect. You know what? So I start looking through it, and this guy's got a lot of chunky paint on the figure. So I'm like, oh, I'll just strip them down, right? Throw them in some 90 isopropyl alcohol. Do you know that these figures will not strip for the life of me? Like, what did this person use on the figures to keep the paint on so that it's just not coming off? Normally, you throw something in isopropyl alcohol, it'll come off right away.
Yeah, that should be a pretty fast. That's like a one trip through the Sonic cleaner tops.
Exactly. So whatever this guy used, he probably used some like auto primer on the fucking figures to make them this goddamn chunky. And I am so pissed at it right now.
That sucks.
It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, and you know this too. You've done games.
I done been there.
You done been there. You're what I would consider an expert level modeler. Not in terms of like, your stuff is going to win golden demons, but you know all the tricks, right? And you're like, oh, well, you just do this, this, and this. That's me. I've been doing this hobby for 20 goddamn years. And every time I'm doing it, I'm just like, or it's longer than that at this point, 30 years. And I do this and it's like, why isn't this coming off? I feel like an idiot. I feel like a person who's never done this before.
I feel like this is my first time.
Yes. It's like, I feel like I need to apologize to the models and say, sorry, this is my first day.
I like it.
Whoever did this should be ashamed of themselves. In fact, most people who paint Games Workshop figures should be ashamed of themselves.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd say most. I don't pay attention enough to say most.
Everyone should be ashamed of themselves.
I'm just happy that people are painting their models.
No one's doing that.
Someone is painting their models. I'm just saying, someone is. Not me. I'm not. But someone is.
The thing with these Bretonian models is it would be fine if they were, if they had like a decent paint job on them that I could just fix up and make look nice.
Yeah, just paint over.
Yeah, just paint over it. But no, he painted every one of them the same goddamn color blue.
Oof.
And I'm like, fuck.
That's rough. Although, maybe you can somehow figure out a way to audible to that ball sack.
The ball sack heraldry, the Italian, but that's Italian, not necessarily French.
Well, whatever. It's all the same.
Exactly. If anybody doesn't know what that is, they can go to our Discord, which is our Game Classy Discord. You could find the link on our Facebook page. It's usually underneath whatever the latest episode is. But because they might turn off as soon as I get to that point, or say, at the end when I do all the rigmarole.
Yeah.
So if I say it earlier, they might actually hear it and go to our Discord. But that's something that we had posted at that point to talk about.
Yeah, no, that makes sense to me.
Yeah. So that's the local gaming stores are all pissed off because they can't get anything. Games Workshop's not producing enough. But here's my way of looking at it, Steve. We have to wait till the Orc release happens, or whatever the third release is going to be, because then we're going to see Games Workshop overproduce everything and that no one is going to buy because it's going to be for an army that no one wants to play. That's the problem.
I think the Orcs might not be the one, because the Orcs, I think a lot of people, I think an absolute fuck ton of people are going to buy that battalion. Like that battalion is the least sexy battalion I think I've ever seen.
Oh my
but
god, it's
man,
so ugly.
but man, is it like the also simultaneously the most workhorse battalion I've ever seen. Like that's straight up like every orc player is gonna want 2 of those. Like period. Like it's so unsexy, but man, is it like you need it.
Yeah, the only thing that I think would make it better is if the plastic black orcs were in there. Like if they had like a block of 20 plastic black orcs in there.
Was a bit surprised that they didn't have those on there, but there is a lot of orc infantry in there, like overall.
So let me tell you this. Out of all of the armies that I have researched and looked into reading through those books, and I've really enjoyed reading through them. They're really fun. I'll go over the rules in just a second. But the orcs themselves are probably the biggest surprise. They are incredibly good.
Yeah.
I've never seen orcs. I've never seen orcs be that good.
Yeah, I was very happy about all the armies. I so far my favorite thing is the current discourse for chaos, where like it seems. I mean, and it could be wrong right now, but the last I was looking at it, it literally seems like the Warriors of Chaos opinion is either they're fucking garbage, like the absolute worst army in the game, or beyond broken, the best army in the game. I'm like, how is this? Like, how are these the 2 positions?
No, but that's exactly it. And I think basically what it is that this army is dog shit if you want to play it like a normal human being and not spam or create these broken characters. But if you want to play like a sweat lord, this army is great for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think tournament wise, the sweat lords are going to really be handicapped by the 3 unit max rule.
Yeah, that's great. That's a fantastic rule. Very, very excited about that one.
And you know, I do say it's like, what is the point of paying so much money on this when it's going to be awful to play, you know, or like awful to paint, awful to play?
It's because anyone who does that doesn't care about playing. They care about the dubs. All they want to do
care about only the W's.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, I have definitely never seen orcs play as well as I have in this edition.
Yeah,
like usually orcs, you're like, orcs are terrible.
Well, animosity is usually so bad. Like, just like, yeah, hey, you know, on a 1 in 6 chance, your army just doesn't work. Sorry.
And that's gone. It's completely gone.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the worst rules that they've ever made. So I'm glad it's gone.
Yes. And well, it's for fun, Steve. We play these. We read the rules because it's a beer and pretzels game. It's for fun.
See, that's the thing.
You know what's fun? You know what's fun, Steve? Losing your game.
You know what's fun?
Why am I turning into a New Zealander?
Your shit just randomly not working. That's the best.
But it's a beer and pretzels game. And got in the dick. Gonna put something on the body.
That's New Zealand. You got to put it on the dick.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was got my British, whatever British accent I was doing there, turned into New Zealand for a minute.
You got a dick.
Yeah. Do a roll call.
You got a dick.
I've been watching
powerful dick.
I've been rewatching Flight of the Conchords. Speaking of New Zealand, and I gotta say, I don't know if this show is actually good or if it's just like we've convinced ourselves the show is good. I
never watched it, so I can't say.
Oh man, I like it, but at the same time, I'm like, this show's terrible. Because then we started rewatching Curb Your Enthusiasm from the beginning, and I was like, well, Flight of the Conchords is also on here. Let's watch Flight of the Conchords as well. And so we're watching like the most awkward show on the planet, followed by the second most awkward show on the planet. But they're awkward for 2 completely different reasons. I like that Larry David. I watched Curb Your Enthusiasm. Larry David is correct in everything that he does. Every single thing he's mad about, I understand, Larry. You are in the right.
My favorite bit from Curb is the recent one where he figured out that he could avoid social interaction by wearing the Trump hat.
Yes.
I was dying. I was fucking dying. He, like, the dude comes to sit next to him at the sushi bar and he like slowly pulls out the Trump hat and puts it on his head and just staring at the guy. And the guy's just like, I'll go. He's like, I'd actually like a booth.
I would like a booth.
Would like a booth. I was fucking dying. That's so funny. Yeah, Larry David's pretty fucking funny. I think he's one of the funniest guys around. So
R.I.P. Richard Lewis.
Richard Lewis.
Yes.
Okay. Funny guy.
Did you drink a Boku in his honor?
Do they still make Boku?
I don't think they don't make adult juice boxes anymore. No.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I could really go for a Boku.
Well, it was just like a mixed juice with less sugar.
Yeah, it's just a little fruit juice. It's nothing.
Yeah, it's what we call as adults mixers. You mix those in with your alcohol.
Yeah, that's true. You put that in with the vodka.
With the vodka.
The vodka.
All right. So yeah, the rules for Old World are amazing, and it just goes to show you, fantasy can be a good, fun game. It's just that all of the armies need to be released simultaneously. All the rules for the armies need to be released simultaneously.
You know, it's interesting that you said that, because I was just thinking about how I think that's actually the best design for a miniatures game. Like,
absolutely.
I think like if anyone listening, if you're I know we have game designers listen to us, which is really cool. Yeah, I think literally design all of your factions at once and then just update, and then just like your releases should just be update books.
Yeah.
Like, not even kidding. Like, I think that's like the smartest design thing, because you can ensure that you don't accidentally like fuck shit over.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it is. I mean, because I mean, damn, like, it's so hard to like. Because I mean, you know, if you're testing shit out in a vacuum, but if you're testing everything at once, all at the same time, like, yeah, it's unlikely that you'll just shit your game up so hard.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. So that's like the major stuff going on with the Old World right now. It's like no one can get the game. Everyone wants to play the game, but no one can get anything. But I am, as I told Steve offline, I said I am looking forward to, in 2 months, the major sell-off of all the Bretonnian stuff people buy, because they realize that they're never going to paint Bretonnians.
Yes, they've not touched their shit.
Well, they built it, and they're like, they go to paint their first guy. They paint their first guy with the heraldry and everything, and they're like, I have to do this how many times?
Yes.
Yeah. Which is like, if you're getting into fantasy, Bretonnians are literally the worst army in the world to start with, because every model looks unique. It's a lot of that. You know what army's great for starting? Tomb Kings. You know why? Tomb Kings are just bone painted. It's really easy to paint Tomb Kings.
True.
You can. Oh yeah, there's some stuff where you got to paint, some gold and some jewels, maybe some cloth here or there, but it's overall a really easy army to paint.
Also true.
I do. I do want to paint a Tomb Kings army as well. I do have a Tomb Kings army to paint, and I do want to do that. I actually opened it up just to pull out the Bone Giant I had, because I needed it for D&D today.
Nice. I gotta start giving my Etsy guys some attention. They look nice. I was actually.
Did they come in? I was going to ask you about that.
So I ordered 28 millimeter specifically. Not heroic.
Okay. I was going to ask that because I did see that they were offering them in the 32 or 28s.
Yeah,
I was going to say, like, what do you think?
I went with 28. I think they look nicer. I think a little bit smaller makes them look nicer to me personally. I know they won't scale with GW stuff, which is like, okay, fine. I guess I just won't use any GW models for this army.
Is the GW stuff bigger?
Yeah, well, GW stuff's 32 millimeter.
Well, but even the older stuff, though, that's what I'm kind of wondering. Like, I thought that maybe the 28 stuff was more comparable to the old GW stuff.
So that's a yes and a no. I know
Highlands miniatures tend to be a little bit more proportional than standard.
That's what it is. It's the skeletons look. I think the skeletons are actually the exact same height as the GW skeletons, but because the GW skeletons have the giant heads and the giant hands, they look tiny in comparison, even though they're the same height. So they look very weird side by side.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I will still probably get the big ass dragon thing, because that'll look fine with my other shit. That won't matter.
Yeah, that's getting dropped this weekend.
Yeah, so I'll probably get that thing because it's cool, and that won't matter having like the scale. There'll be no scale issues with that.
Yeah, I think I really like the Highland miniature stuff. If people are looking at a good 3D printing, like Patreon or stuff to buy that's really compatible with GW, go to Highland Miniatures. Right now, I know they have an Empire army, a Tomb King army, a Bretonnian army.
They've got dwarfs as well.
Dwarfs. goblins and orcs. They are working on elves currently, so that's going to be interesting. I've been following them for a while. I have a lot of their shit. Their dwarves are good. I don't like the dwarf characters, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think their dwarf characters don't look as good as the rest of the figures.
Yeah, they ain't got enough character.
They don't got enough character.
My only complaint about the Highland miniatures, very specifically, about the Tomb King's range, is it's so fucking incomplete. They're missing like everything. They have like the most basic stuff only. It's skeleton infantry, skeleton horsemen, chariots. That's it. There's literally nothing else, which is like kind of unfortunate.
I think I got the old metal tomb guard. I got a ton of Boopshopdi. I have a Necrosphinx. Or no, which one is the one with like, it was like the dude with the colossal body, the guy with the big upper torso dude with the Sphinx body? Is that the
that's the Necrosphinx.
Okay. Well, then what was the one with the War Sphinx? Was that the one that has the howdah on the back?
Yeah, it's the same kit.
Yeah, I don't have that one, but I bought a Necrosphinx all built.
Okay, nice.
And I got a bunch of troops and everything else. So we'll see how that, when I get to that. And I got Cetra, the Ever Living.
The Ever Living.
Yes. So let's move on from Games Workshop, though. Let's move on. I want to talk about some other gaming stuff that popped up. And specifics, I wanted to talk about a game that I never thought would last this long. The Game of A Song of Ice and Fire is putting out a new miniatures game.
Wait, that game's still around?
Yeah. A Song of Ice and Fire Tactics is coming out from CMON.
No shit. Okay.
Yeah, it looks like they're taking So Song of Ice and Fire, the actual minis game, actually does fairly well from what I've seen and what I've heard from people. I've seen actual people playing it in stores. People just like playing that game, which is actually kind of funny because it kind of is like how people are going to be playing Age of Sigmar or taking their Age of Sigmar figures into fantasy, because it's circle bases on a square, put into a square tray.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, so they have this tactics game coming out now, which looks like it's more of a skirmish style game. So it's the bigger game, just brought down smaller. They have like a weird CMON pledge. I think let me see. Yeah, the project was funded. It made $1.9 million.
That's a lot of dollars.
It's a lot of dollars. But it was done on that Game Found. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh, that's like a weird, like kind of like Kickstarter-esque thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I was kind of wondering about that, if like anybody had done anything there. But it's CMON, so it's like, yeah, they don't really need to do this. They're just doing this so they can make all of their money ahead of time and not have to worry about it.
Right.
And it's like, why retailers still deal with CMON is stupid to me, because they have gotten screwed so many times through that company.
I don't know if retailers really do much. I think a lot of obviously I don't really know, but I believe I would imagine the majority of purchasing from CMON is consumer direct.
I mean, it's gotta be, because them and another company we talk about in a minute are notorious for just giving away product.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if we go to Adepticon this year, how many people are going to get a copy of this Tactics in their goodie bag, right?
Yeah, who knows?
Because that's what happened with the main. Remember when the main game came out?
I do remember
like
that.
They were just giving away copies of that. They've been at the auction for years, which is actually kind of funny, because you could still get those box sets. They still go for a decent amount at the auction, which surprises me, because I'm like, how does everybody not have that game already?
Mm-hmm.
I think they just like them for standard fantasy figures, but I don't know. I don't play these games.
I imagine they're really good for like historical or like any of the alternate rules.
Yeah. So the Song of Ice and Fire, is got the sculpts that are done by Dark Sword figures, right?
Yeah, Dark Sword's pretty cool.
But guess who just announced that they're doing a Game of Thrones miniatures game?
Oh shit!
Night Models. Night Models is back.
Models is back.
Night Models is back, baby.
Weren't they like? I thought they were like sued into oblivion.
Were they? I didn't know anything about that.
Yeah, I thought they were.
I have not heard that. We'll have to report. We'll have to dig into that and report on that later.
I thought they were.
So so they're doing a Game of Thrones, which is funny that they put it there. It's just Game of Thrones, but however, and when they say a Game of Thrones miniatures game, it's not a Game of Thrones. That's the name of the book. The show was called Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Let's get it straight. Fucking tabletop.
So this is going to be the HBO show, right?
This is the HBO show.
Yeah. So they're going to have likenesses, I assume.
Yes. So everything looks like the characters from the TV show. And it'll probably come with all of the great night models, rules that you come to love and appreciate.
And by rules, we mean pretty damn good sculpts.
Pretty damn good sculpts with terrible rules.
Yeah, we do mean pretty damn good sculpts because I think people might have a lot of opinions about Night, but I'm fairly confident that no one can argue that their sculpts are excellent.
Absolutely, their sculpts are gorgeous. And it's also helps that all of their preview figures for them are painted by professionals and they look amazing. And you're like, holy shit, I want to get these models. And then you get them and you're like, holy shit, these models are impossible to put together and impossible to paint. They're very spindly, Steve. They're very, very spindly.
Yeah, that was my issue with Infinity. The Infinity models are really spindly. I do like the mechs though. But of course, it's funny. Infinity was literally the second game that I got war machined by Infinity, which cracks me up. And what I mean by that is, in case anyone knows, and I'm going to refer to this as a thing now. And I don't know if I've ever said it before, but I want to coin it now and let everyone know it's war machined. And what that is you see the game War Machine, and you're like, oh fuck, that's kind of a cool little steampunk game. They got like big robots. Okay, so the game's about like a wizard supported by like mostly big robots. That's fucking cool. Hell yeah. Yeah, I want to play that game. And then you actually play the game, and the robots fucking suck. The game that's about giant robots fighting each other, the robots are ass. You want 50 infantry models, no robots. Sorry, kid. The game that's advertised is not the game. So yeah, there you go. So I feel Infinity is the exact same thing, where Infinity has those really fucking dope exosuit mecha, and like they look sick as shit. And you're like, damn, that was fucking awesome. You make an army of those, it's garbage, unplayable dog shit. Just unplayable dog shit. And I feel the same way about Infinity that I feel about War Machine. Where like the game that in my opinion, the game that it presents itself as, whether intentional or unintentional, is absolutely not the game that it is.
That's good to know.
So that's my opinion. So like I do not like it, but I do think if you like 40K, you'd actually very much enjoy Infinity.
It's kind of like my feeling with War Machine is always boils down to, see this really cool Warjack? Yeah, it's terrible. You have to paint these figures. Yeah, those exactly. Figures. Those are awful looking. No, this is the only way that you'll win the game.
Yeah. You see this cool ass Warjack? It sucks.
Do you see this figure? This figure here of just a butt? That's all it is a butt with feet. Yeah, that's funny, but I really don't want to. It's like, how many of those do I need to have? 60. You need to have 60 of those to win the game. Oh, okay. Yeah. You need 60. If you have 59, you're gonna die. But you need 60. If you have exactly 60 of those painted up, you'll be able to play the game. But I don't want to play. I don't want to paint or play those. Well, too bad. Then you're gonna lose. Oh goddamn. Yeah. There's a couple other games that are coming out too that I thought were pretty interesting. For World War II stuff, by the way. Speaking of boring paint jobs, there's a new tank game coming out, and then there's like 2 new tank games coming out. Another one is from Warlord Games. So there you go. You have a new tank game coming out. Yay! Finally. The Warlord. There was something about the Warlord Games one that made me kind of mad when I read it. It was. God, I can't remember. I'll see if I can remember it when I think about it. However, I did want to talk about have you seen the Tomb of Gax on Kickstarter? It's been out and about on that one.
No, I haven't.
I've been
following new D&D stuff, but fire away. What's this?
This is a new throwback 5e D&D OSR system. I just thought it was actually kind of interesting because Luke Gygax wrote it. Gary Gygax's non-racist son.
Oh,
I don't know if he's necessarily any less racist than his brother Ernie.
Well, let's say non-blatantly racist son.
Yeah, he doesn't say the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, like Gygax himself. He does not. Gygax never said the quiet part out loud.
No, he never did. He just wrote it into his books. Gygax, I don't think to call Gygax racist, maybe unintentionally racist. Yes.
Yeah, Gygax is one of those things where it's just like, it's like, yeah, you're just kind of passively racist. Like, and it's like you're like it's like one of those things where you like they say something and you're just like, I'm not gonna get into this conversation. I'm not gonna explain to you why what you just said was wrong, because I know. In your heart of hearts, you basically just put your foot in your mouth. You don't understand.
You don't understand what you said. No, Gygax himself was very misogynistic.
That's a fact.
That's a fact and a half. Like, even at a point when it's like he was like Lovecraft level misogynistic, where it's just like you should know better at this time.
Yes, yeah. It's like, have you met women? Like, they're really not like anything you've just said. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. We're still grappling with Gygax's level of racism as a whole, because I mean it's that racism. It's
casual racism.
It's casual racism. It's like where you just don't know that you're doing things that you're not supposed to do.
Yeah. It's one of those things where it's like I ain't gonna fucking yell at you about it, but like, just maybe pay
chill out. Yeah, but however, him with women, that's a different story altogether.
That dude, well, I mean, have you seen him? I ain't gonna be too surprised. That guy was probably rejected a whole lot.
Gygax?
Yeah.
I have a bunch of Tomb Kings in a box. They probably look very similar to Gary Gygax right now.
Yeah, there you go. So say it. So I'm not gonna say definitively, but I don't know about you, but I've found that a lot of times men's proportional level of misogynistic is basically how unappealing they are, if that makes sense.
I mean, yeah, that explains how misogynistic I am.
See, it all makes sense.
Very, very unappealing person. But yeah, this Tomb of Gygax, just like it's an old throwback, but it's actually doing incredibly well on Kickstarter. Made 300,000 in just like 2 days.
That's great.
Yeah, so it looks interesting. I might dig a little bit deeper into it, and I might sub into it. I don't know, but it's got a lot of pedigree behind it, so it sounds interesting enough. What I liked about it is that it comes in a campaign box.
Ooh, nice.
So it's not just the book; you get the box, which is nice.
Oh yeah.
It comes with posters and item cards and maps.
We like that.
Yes, we like that very much. I'm not a huge fan of the art style of it, which is probably part of it why I'm not like super jazzed. Because you know me, I like my D&D has to look very. If you're gonna ape second edition or first edition, it's got to look first or second edition to me.
Yeah, I want the fucking beholder that's drawn by a 4-year-old.
Yes, exactly, 100%. I want that. Yeah, we're actually playing my game today, which will be yesterday if you're listening to this when this podcast comes out, but whatever, time travel. And I gotta say, like, the feel that I'm feeling right now from this latest chapter is really, really shitty 5e D&D that I'm playing right now. No, this chapter is like it's like on the road chapter where it's like you're just fucking. It's Lord of the Rings, man. I'm just fucking walking. My team is fucking walking.
Can't you see I'm walking here?
Exactly. So I had to spice it up. I created a bunch of shit. So I'll tell you this, because the people who do listen to the podcast will have already played through it at the time. But I was like, I'm bored. I'm going to create some anti-capitalist messaging in my game right now. So I'm going to do that.
That's funny.
So I have a dwarf who has hired a non-union necromancer to man his brewery. And then
non-union necromancer.
Yes, he's non-union. Well, it's a necromancer, so that way he could raise the dead, so they don't form a union.
Right, exactly.
So he could have non-union workers in his brewery.
You know what's funny?
That's what I talked with you about with the dwarves, saying that, like, I think dwarves would be very much like, oh, you're a dwarf, you're in the dwarf union.
Yes.
But we're not going to give any benefits to anybody who's not a dwarf.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. No. I felt that was very apropos.
Yes. So that's the way I'm looking on that one. And then after that, we wanted to. I was like, so that's what I got, like a bunch of the skeletons and the bone giant and all that fun stuff. Because I was like, we need something. I need some like flavor in this chapter of them fucking walking.
Sure.
I like how the book said it specifically. It's like, yeah, they're just basically walking unless you want to throw in an encounter or two. And it's like, how boring of you as a DM if you're just like, you come across an owl bear as you're walking.
You know, I'm a huge fan of the random encounter. I have become a big random encounter enthusiast lately.
Really, I can't stand random encounter.
Yeah, I've just become a big I don't know. I've just become a big random encounter enthusiast.
It seems unmotivated, Steve. What are you, Dan Abnett?
No, it's like the I think the key is really detailed tables. But here's what I do. One of the things I do for my random encounters and anytime I'm running a game, rest assured, a player will literally never know that they're running into a random encounter. So what I do is I just basically prep the random encounters in advance.
Yeah.
So you know that's just how I do it. So suddenly, like, you know, it makes everything a lot more interesting when I don't think about what to use and just like it becomes more about like how are the players going to deal with this shit that I just like rolled up. So sometimes the encounter is dog shit. Like it's like, you know, they're like they're level 5 and like the encounter's like fucking goblins. and they're like I guess we kill the goblins, and I'm like, yeah, you kill the fuck out of the goblins. But other times it's like yeah, it's Odin. It's Odin. Like, and I like that. And I because you know, it's more interesting to see what the players will do because I don't have to think about trying to craft an encounter that is going to be safe.
Yeah,
and I think that's one of the biggest problems with it, and that's one of the things. I mean, first or rookie DMs will learn very rapidly the massive holes in challenge rating in CR. There's a CR 2 ooze. I think it's a demon or an ooze. It's CR2. It looks totally innocuous. I can't remember what it is. If I find it, I'll put it in the Discord. But it is a CR2 monster, and it consistently can one-shot parties up to level 4.
Wow.
By itself. It just because they don't factor in the like they don't factor in enough math, I guess. I don't know how because I don't know how they calculate CR because it's a fucking mystery. I think CR is literally like they're like, that looks right. I'm pretty sure that's how CR actually is. Like they just look at it and they go, yeah, that looks right. I don't think they actually have a formula, but like it's got enough abilities where like basically like it stacks debuffs and then like the players, it will out math your players. Eventually they'll just fail enough saves where like it just kills them. So yeah, I think that's kind of funny.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of what I'm going up against because, well, and actually I was going to have like a 6-party team today. So I built it around 6 people, but one of the guys had to drop, of course, because he has strep. So actually I could say it's Josh Redman. He had to drop because he had strep. So I'm like, well, shit. Now I gotta do I gotta rescale this back for 5-party member party? I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna let him deal with it.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yes, and I do like how you said like detailed tables for the random encounters.
Mm-hmm.
And in my head, as a train guy, I'm like, ooh, was Steve creating a table? And then I'm like, wait, Steve would never create a table. He's talking about like a math table.
Yes. I mean, I do have a table, but I didn't hand build anything. I just used I used Battlefield in the Box and the Age of Sigmar, Realms of Sigmar.
Yes. Well, you should. I'll put up pictures from the game that I got going on right now. I got a little dwarf village on the table with a dwarven road and, you know, the big brewery and everything made up there. But also after that, after they go to like the city, well, because this whole chapter that I'm doing is chapter 4 of Tyranny of Dragons, where it's like we're gonna go from this city to this city to this city to this city. Like it's literally just like traveling from city to city to city. So in between the first city is the little dwarf encounter, and in between the second city and the third city, I'm doing they're gonna go on a boat and they're gonna get chased by hillbilly goblins. I'm gonna do a deliverance.
Going down the bayou. I like it. I'm a fan.
So I had to build a big river and like goblins on
Come on, pig.
yeah, some hillbilly goblins going down on boats. Exactly.
like it.
Squeal like a pig.
I like it.
However, I don't think I'll have any of the rape sequences in my D&D game.
The cast from Deliverance will not be appearing.
No, I'm not that type of DM like the guys that I will say 2008 DMs who are like putting sexual assault in all of their games, and you're kind of like, this really makes us uncomfortable as a player. It's real. It's what happens in this world.
Yeah, it's like, that's kind of weird, bro.
It's kind of weird, dude. You're working through some stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of weird,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, you're like a girlfriend who's really into Lars von Trier movies. Like, I just don't think this is right.
That sounds like a girl I want to date. You got her number?
Yeah, probably I could. I guarantee you, if you threw that out there saying like, I'm looking for a girl who's really into Lars von Trier. Have you seen Melancholia, Nymphomaniac? What's the one where a guy cuts off his penis?
I've seen I've seen Antichrist. That's the only one I've seen.
Antichrist. There you go. Antichrist.
Yeah.
The house that Jack built.
No, I don't really watch a lot of Lars von Trier.
You would like the
Trier
house that
films.
Jack built, though.
Yeah.
I would think.
I'll take a look at it. House that Jack built. All right, I'll note that.
Not my type of movie, but I could see Steve liking that movie. Did you like Antichrist?
I mean,
But
like
what am I
is a,
saying? No one actually likes Lars. von
yeah,
Trier.
yeah, exactly. Like is a really strong word. I felt it was an interesting film. And I very much appreciate that it exists because the GIF Chaos Reigns cracks me up.
Yes. I will, and Willem Dafoe's fake penis.
Yes, and the Willem Dafoe fake penis story, which is great. If in case anyone hasn't heard it by now, I don't know how you haven't heard it by now, but it is a critically
I
important
know,
story to
Steve,
know.
you tell the story on the podcast like once every 3 episodes.
Yeah, I mean it's got to have it. So Willem Dafoe has a fuck scene in the film Antichrist, and Willem Dafoe has a massive fucking whammer. His dick is huge as fuck, like gigantic fucking dick, and he had to use a stunt dick because Lars von Trier was like, if everyone saw his actual penis, everyone would be confused and scared. So we're going to use a fake one that's more normal size.
There you go.
Yeah, it was a very funny story. But yeah, and then like of course it went around Hollywood, and it's like and people confirmed, they're like, yeah, no, Willem Dafoe's got a massive hog. So like if you need a username for something, Willem Dafoe's massive hog, good username.
Yes. So I got to get going. We got to get moving because I still have 2 stories I want to talk about.
All right, you fire away, do them.
One we could do relatively quickly is that Mantic Games is putting out Epic Warpath. As we say, Mantic Games always on the pulse. If Epic Games had put out Epic Warpath before the whole debacle with Legiones Imperialis, it probably would do very, very well. But they're putting it out like slightly after all the heat has died down on Legions Imperialis, even though from what I hear, Legions Imperialis is still doing really well. They decided to put out their copycat game so that but they're going to put out a ton of stuff. It looks pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think
it probably plays better. It probably has better rules, and it probably is easier to get all the minis than anything that Games Workshop is putting out. So
Guaranteed.
keep that in mind.
It's actually priced like how you want a small scale game to be priced. I think the full size starter army or half size starter army, like if you buy 2, it's a complete size force.
Yeah, the two army starter pledge.
Yeah, the armies are $50.
Yeah, it was. Is it 50?
The armies, the 2 starter, you get a $10 discount if you buy the 2-player starter. You get 2 $50 armies for $90 plus all the extra shit.
Yes. Yeah. It was. I think it finished up literally yesterday. I think so. I'm so on Friday. I think was the last day for it. So we're sorry we didn't get to actually talk about it with you guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
but I'm sure you saw it.
I'm sure anyone who's interested nabbed it because it was a good deal. I mean, the figures look cool. I just, like I said, I mean, if it was Kings of War, I would have pledged.
Yeah, I think but I think that they're waiting for Games Workshop to put out Epic and put out War Master again.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, if Games Workshop puts a War Master, I'll just buy that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's why doing Kings of War now would be such a smart idea, because anyone who's really interested in War Master, they're going to buy War Master if GW re-releases it. Because Legion Imperialis is a new game. You have more flex to actually throw out like something like, hey, do you want to play the game of that scale, but you were more of a fan of Epic 40K that had more than 2 factions? Play our game.
Yeah, exactly. I there's something to it. I think it could be fun, and especially if you're very anti-GW, which I totally understand at this point. It's a good alternative if you guys want to play a smaller scale, like big battle army game like that.
Yeah, for me, I'm GW indifferent.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's also like with Mantic is like you literally could, because the figures are so fucking cheap, you could just play the scale in 28mm as well.
This is true.
Yeah. One last story I did want to touch on that was probably not great for everybody, but I know you know about this guy. So there's a guy on Cults 3D. He puts out 3D sculpts, and we've talked about him on this podcast before. His name is Eman G or Emang.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that would make 1-to-1 sculpts based on Total War.
Yeah, very cool stuff.
Yeah, so he had a whole series of every chaos demon, every orc and goblin, every Skaven unit taken straight from the game Total War's files, and he would fix the sculpts in 3D and allow you to print them. So if you wanted to have a Grom the Paunch who just looked exactly like Grom the Paunch from Total War, he had that for you.
Mm.
And they were really nice sculpts too. I printed out a couple of them.
Yeah, they look dope. Well,
anyway, Games Workshop gave him a cease and desist, and he chose to ignore it.
Ooh.
So Games Workshop moved forward with suing him, and I don't know where that is at right now, but I know it was for an unreasonable amount of money. The only thing that I think will save him is the fact that he does not charge for any of the models. So I don't know how that would work in a.
Yeah, because I mean, I'm pretty sure. Here's this is the weird thing, and like, I run into this like a few times myself professionally, but like, here's the weird thing. I don't know how. I literally do not know how it works internationally, because like, if we're talking strictly America, I am almost 100% certain that the way that what he is doing would be covered and legally safe under fair use, because he's not selling the models for any sort of profit. There's no monetization involved in any kind, and I believe that falls under fair use.
Yeah.
So that should be safe, because he's not, as long as he but I think he has to prove that he has not turned a profit from them. So I think if you go to court, and of course, but the issue is if someone takes you to court, you have to be able to afford your defense. Which is how we call that. There was like, there's all the copyright trolling that goes on with so many things where it's like, big companies bully smaller companies or smaller creators because they're like, yeah, what we're doing is totally illegal. Like, we're going to just sue you, and we would lose if you took it to court, but you can't afford it. So there's a lot of that going on. So it could be like that. But as far as I know, that'd be fair use. Now, here's where it gets sticky. I don't know how that shit works when you're talking about international stuff. Like, if I do it with if it's a UK IP and the UK is like does whose law of the land takes precedence? Is it where you live? Is it where the company resides? I have to imagine it's where you live, because I have to imagine they would have to take him to court in a U.S. court.
Yeah, probably. So the thing is that you can look up the case online. I think the bigger issue is that he ended up operating a Patreon where he created like pre-supported figures.
That'll pop him. That's gonna pop him right there. That's gonna pop him. He had an Etsy shop where he would print out the figures for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. No. He's DOA. That's it. He's done.
Yeah. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I have a bunch of stuff up for sale on Colts 3D that I kind of ripped off of Games Workshop. I didn't steal anything directly, like off of like the files for a game or something like that, right?
Mm.
But what I did do is I designed it. I literally built it myself out of 3D. And some of it, well, yes, it's all based off Games Workshop design, but it's not actually like anything from them particularly. But for me, what I don't really understand is that on my Colts 3D where I sell this stuff, I don't think I've ever like if they don't like something, they just take it down. Like they just do a copyright strike.
Yeah, actually, now that I think about it, I think this actually could be a huge deal because if I remember correctly, nothing on any of his figures has anything. He didn't call anything what it was, right? Everything was like ground the paunches and ground the paunch. It was grill the fat, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. It was all fake names. So I don't actually know. Well, no, it's probably works because he ripped the models from Total War.
Because that's what I'm kind of thinking.
Because like I mean, there's that one sculptor, the Avatars of War guy, who used to work for Workshop, and like he sculpts orcs and thing in like his style, which was what he did for Games Workshop.
Yeah.
But like theoretically, if they're able to sue someone who did I guess it's because it's copying it exactly, not copying the style. I don't know. It's interesting. Do we have any lawyers? Do we have any copyright lawyers listen to us?
I highly doubt we have any copyright lawyers listening.
Weigh in. Let us know what you think.
Weigh in.
Actually, I don't think they can. I think that's actually illegal.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Well, I know. Like if you can't give people legal advice, that's actually like a fucking crime. It's like a thing. That's why they always have to say like this is not like there has to be like a million things of like if you ever watch any of those random YouTube lawyers, like all their shit everywhere is just like this is not legal advice. Do not take this as legal advice. Blah blah blah. Like it's all over the place.
Yeah. So yeah, I think if he gets a good lawyer, he probably could figure it out. But I don't even think they're getting to that part. I don't know. I think he probably already settled or something or other.
Yeah, we'll see.
But we'll see on it. So all of his stuff is gone. However, because it's on the internet, it's there forever. You can find all of this shit still.
Yeah, it's never really gone.
Some Russian guy downloaded it, and he's like, I have it now. Because
go ahead. Go ahead. Try to sue me, Games Workshop.
Oh, do. Yeah.
Das vidanya.
Yeah. Bum 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 bum. Good times. This podcast does not support Vladimir Putin in any way, shape, or form.
He's no Soviet.
No. However, another guy who's a classic, and I know a lot of people really like him. His name is FableZell. He does 3D print of old Chaos Dwarves and stuff like that. So like in the style of the old Big Hat Chaos Dwarves. He's stopping doing the thing. He's not doing them anymore. So but I think he's making all of his stuff available for free on Colts 3D if you want to look for it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So if you like the old Big Hat Chaos Dwarves, and the new rules for the Chaos Dwarves on that legacy list is pretty good. Like, I would highly suggest looking into it because it's a really good list. And if you want to do it and you could substitute it, I think there's only like 3 or 4 models in that range that they don't have old 6th edition models for, but you could easily swap out whatever you want.
Yeah,
you can proxy. If you go to a store and someone doesn't like your proxy, tell them fuck you and punch them in the throat.
Just be like, I sculpted it myself.
I sculpted it myself.
That's what I always did. I sculpted it myself.
You're a really good sculptor, Steve.
I'm fucking great. I have a bunch of styles. I've sculpted for multiple armies. It's different scales. I'm really good.
Really good at those.
Yeah, that was back in the day when I had like several chaos models in my chaos army that were absolutely not chaos models. And I was playing at Games Workshop stores, and people would be like, "Are those Games Workshop models? Are you allowed to use those?" And I'm like, "I hand sculpted them from green stuff." and it just ended basically, and they were like, "Wow."
Well, kudos to you, sir. Good
yes,
sir.
Yes.
All right. I think that's about it. Do you got any other news that we could use?
The next Magic set looks hysterically awesome.
All right.
It is called Outlaws at Thunder Junction, and it's fucking cowboys, bro.
Yeehaw!
One of the promo pieces is a centaur with a cowboy hat and revolvers.
That sounds more like fetish art.
You can't see his dick.
Oh, well then I mean, could I draw a dick on there?
No, you actually couldn't. You would not be able to put it into the because of the way the art is cropped. You would not actually be able to fit it in there.
And then I want nothing to do with this.
I'm sorry. You could probably overdraw the revolvers and make it look like he's holding dicks.
Nah.
Look, meet me halfway. Meet me halfway on this one.
Meet me halfway. We're gonna make this fetish art regardless.
Yeah, we can do it.
I don't know. Anytime I see centaurs or mermen, it's fetish art.
Merman.
Actually, everything is fetish art when it comes down to it. Every piece of art is fetish art.
Literally everything is. Like, I mean, I've seen enough art of dudes fucking cars that it doesn't matter. Like, you think that picture of a Lamborghini is just a cool Lamborghini? Nah, some dude's whapping it to that.
Good times. Good times.
Good times indeed.
All right. So anything else?
I think that's it.
All right, go to the Game Classy Facebook page. It's the best way to find the link to our Discord where we actually communicate, interact, and have fun with our listeners. Mostly we make fun of Star Wars because Star Wars is stupid.
Haha, take that.
Take that, Star Wars fans. Darth Maul, Darth Maul. They're friends.
They're friends.
Can we come up with anything else? Blandor.
I like Blandor. That one's my favorite.
You gotta say it right.
Blandor.
But it's so good, Steve. It's modern Star Wars for adults. I don't want to watch modern Star Wars for adults. I want to see laser swords and space fights.
Yeah, that's right. I want to see Jedi flipping around and not making any sense.
Yes, I want to see this nonsense. I don't want to see something that's based on real political struggle. Oh, and guess what? Blandor shows that both the good side, the rebels and the Imperials, are both bad. Isn't that so edgy, Steve?
They just like, I don't know. I wish I could write for Star Wars. I would make every, and like this is literally not my ego. This is just a fact. And the reason I'm saying this is not my ego is because anyone could do it. But I would be the fucking best Star Wars writer of all fucking time. It wouldn't even be close, dude. I would be lauded as a fucking genius. And this is the funny part, and this is why it has nothing to do with my ego, because literally anyone could do it. Because I would just keep fucking stealing more goddamn samurai stories. Like, what are you doing? It is not that hard. Like, do a fucking Jedi who's Miyamoto Musashi. Like, duh. Like, this shit is easy. Like if there's a Kurosawa film that hasn't been made as a Star Wars story yet, bam, you've got a fucking Star Wars movie right in the pipe. Fucking the manga, fucking Vagabond. That's a fucking one of the best samurai manga ever written. Bam, you got a fucking Star Wars TV show. Like, it is not hard. It is not hard to make excellent Star Wars content because you steal content that's already excellent and you just fucking make it Jedi instead of Japanese dudes with swords.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, I still say that episode 1 would have worked so much better if they had kept it originally that Qui-Gon Jinn was a drunken master, and it would have been fucking awesome.
It would make his actions in that movie like make a lot more sense if he was just hammered.
Yeah, if he was hammered and just like not really a good dude overall. Like he was like the Jedi 100%. That they threw. Yeah.
He was if he was a bum Jedi, like factually just like just absolutely just like he was essentially like, you know, like sent to like a backwater because he was such a shitty Jedi. That movie, all of his decisions would have made a lot more sense.
Yeah, exactly. And he's sitting there drinking like spiked blue milk. It'd be amazing.
Yep. Straight from the teat. His
name is Jinn. Qui-Gon Jinn. That is a total Lucas thing for someone who's an alcoholic.
Yep, absolutely.
And he's played by an Irishman, Steve.
I mean, the signs were all there.
The signs were all there. They're friends. So, yes. You could also listen to the podcast on iTunes or YouTube. You like, comment, subscribe on the iTunes or YouTube. It's the best way you can help out the podcast. If you want to see more of me, you could look at my Instagram. I'm at GameClassyJoe. for Steve, he's on Threads at Command Throw.
Blue Sky.
Blue Sky, not Threads. Sorry, I'm on Threads. I don't do anything on Threads either.
Ooh, Threads.
I think you automatically get signed up if you have like an Instagram account for Threads.
That makes sense. Then I guess I also have a Threads, but I've never seen it.
Yes. So there's that. So Steve, let's see, is next time we're doing it, it will be the 16th. So it'll be the week before Adepticon. So that's a good thing.
Ooh.
And then we'll give an Adepticon. So the 16th, I'll be able to give a recap of the auction that's just going on right now. I'll tell you how much my BattleTech shit goes for. And then after that will be a preview for Adepticon and then a post-Adepticon reveal, I guess. I don't know.
Down.
You're down. All right, Steve, until the post-auction reveal.
I don't know, man. I ain't got nothing clever. Eat it, Joe's.
Game Classy.